Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Antidote. My name is Alex Olley. I'm the CRO and co-founder of ReachDesk. And this week I was joined by an old friend of mine, Daniel Disney. Daniel Disney is the king of social selling. He has written multiple books on how to be successful with social selling, how do you get started. You need to read all of them. If this is a priority for you in your business, social can be the game changer to amplify your brand. And we talk about how you can go about it, where people go wrong, some of the things that you can do to be successful here. This one is absolute gold if you have a sales team and you're looking to build revenue through social. I hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you soon. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Antidote. So this week I have an old friend of mine, Daniel Disney, join me. Daniel, welcome. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm really good, man. I'm really good and really excited to chat today. I think we've been on this journey kind of together. I think we've both been in this world, running our businesses, growing our businesses for a very similar time. And it's been amazing looking back at the years and being the sort of touch points we've had. So I'm excited to dig in today and hopefully help the audience.
Awesome. Well, look, for those who are listening and watching, I have to give you some credit first because you were the person who I met in person probably about 6 years ago. You got me on LinkedIn. You got me posting. You got me you just got me doing it. I had so much inertia, so I'll always be grateful for that. So thank you for that. All right. Well, look, the first question I ask people is what's been keeping you busy?
Lots of things, mate. So I've written 3 books today, and I've just finished writing my 4th book, which I'm hoping is going to come out maybe in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So that's been keeping me up very late at night and up early in the mornings. And then I'm also relaunching my podcast, the Social Selling Podcast, today, funnily enough. So it's been a lot of time recording episodes and building the studio up and things like that. So it's been busy, but I love it. I love every single minute of it.
Oh man, good stuff. And you've got a family, I believe, to look after and do all that stuff too.
Wife and 2 kids that also keep me busy.
There we go. Love it. So busy guy. So Daniel, everyone's got a big challenge they're trying to solve. We call it their poison, and I'm really trying to hunt for how we solve that, and that's the antidote. So what's the big challenge you're on a mission to solve?
Do you know what? It's on my t-shirt, Alex. I'm on a mission to help people with social selling, and it is a huge challenge. It's a huge problem. A lot of people, if I look back 6 years ago, it was a battle to get people to even acknowledge social selling as a thing. So I spent probably the first couple of years battling against traditional sales leaders around the validity of social selling. But even though it's more known now and accepted, I would say 90 to 95% of companies are still using it wrong, still making the big mistakes that everyone else is making. So I see it as a huge problem, and it's what I'm on a mission to try and fix, and hopefully we can fix it a little bit in this episode today.
Okay, man. Well, I've already credited you for being the person that got me into it. Maybe I was one of those stubborn leaders. Let's break it down a little bit then. Why do you think this is a problem for people? What's getting in the way first and foremost?
Do you know what? There's 2 things. And number one is time. Everyone's busy, and so adopting new things, it's a process that people. It's hard to go through, and I think the resistance to change is what's holding a lot of people back. The other is people don't know what they don't know, and social media is a beast, and so either people go into sort of autopilot, and so they use it like they use Facebook at home, or they try and use it in a business way where they're going to be just pumping out corporate content and it's not going to generate anything. So I think those 2 mistakes are what are slipping a lot of companies up, and I'm sure we'll dig into it today, but it's actually not too complicated to get it right.
Okay, interesting. One of the things that always baffles me is the algorithm. Let's like LinkedIn specifically. I remember the days where I used to post something and it could be liked by 1,000 people very easily, and that's got harder. How do you think about the algorithm and it changing, or do you think people overthink that and they should perhaps put that to one side and that might change their strategy?
No, I think you should acknowledge it, because as you say, it's changing. LinkedIn are forever changing the goalposts. You could get really great at videos, and then LinkedIn's algorithm changes and it no longer pushes videos, and now you got to learn something new. So yes, LinkedIn is forever changing the platform, but there are absolutely pros and cons to it, but there's a lot of good from it. So I think, yes, study it, keep your ears to the ground, listen to the people that are talking about it. Because if you can, I see the algorithm like a wave, and I see a LinkedIn user like a surfer. And if you can see that wave coming and you can go out to it, you're going to ride and capture so much more engagement and opportunities. So when LinkedIn launched polls a year and a half ago, the algorithm pushed LinkedIn polls, love them or hate them. The algorithm pushed them massively. And so the smarter LinkedIn users were the ones that created good value giving polls and leveraged it to sort of convert into customers. They jumped onto that wave, and it will continue to change. So the algorithm's important. It does make it slightly more challenging, I guess, to sort of keep ahead of LinkedIn. But if you treat it like a platform that you value, that you know your customers are using, and you want to utilize it, then you're there. You play the game.
Yeah, nice. Love it. Where do people go to sort of find out about trends in the algorithm? Is it publicly available? Like, do we have to rely on people like pros like you, or where do you go to understand this stuff?
Unfortunately, you do have to rely on people like myself, and there are lots of great people out there that share their own, research and studies around what the algorithm is doing. LinkedIn doesn't give a lot away. Sometimes they'll give you tiny snippets, but the algorithm's their secret formula. It's their secret herbs and spices as such, that they're never going to reveal what they're doing or why they're doing it. But they'll give snippets, and I guess it's people like me that are using LinkedIn so much and working with big companies that are using it that can look at that data source to try and get as much insight into it. What I do essentially is I'm listening. I'm looking at LinkedIn and I'm listening to I'm seeing what's working. What format of content is getting the most engagement? What topics? What tones? What style? What are the different things that is clearly getting above average engagement? And that with a bit of data backed research gives you some good insights. But yeah, listen and follow people like myself, and there are many out there who are talking about it, and use that to then look at your own experience and your own testing. Should give you a good footing.
Nice, man. Sage advice. Okay, so look, I have a lot of salespeople in my team, and lots of people listening will probably have SDRs, AEs, salespeople in general. Where do you think people are going wrong with LinkedIn and social selling, and what could they be doing about it?
I'll hit on the first point, which I think is one of the biggest problems, and it's messaging. If we're talking to salespeople, SDRs, AEs, when you message prospects and customers, it is such a huge opportunity that unfortunately a lot of salespeople get wrong. I was literally going through my own inbox yesterday, and it shocked me how low the quality was of messaging. The amount, and I would say maybe 75% of the messages were not personalized, completely spammy, pure sales pitches. None of the message was about me or showing any relevance to me. It was pure copy and paste sales pitch message. And that's messages and in-mails that are just coming through, and the quality is so low. So it's such an easy thing to twist around. It just takes a little bit of effort. Just go and research each person you're going to message. Make your messages about them, and don't go out there to try and pitch people, but go and start conversations. Like, LinkedIn is a networking platform. Go and talk to people. You wouldn't go to a networking event, walk up to hopefully go up to someone and start pitching them. You would talk to them. You would have a conversation. That's what LinkedIn is for. And when you flip that, suddenly the strategy of messaging becomes completely different, and actually it starts to work.
So what are people doing wrong? Are they trying to search for quick wins? Are they just been given bad guidance? Why do you think this is happening?
Well, Alex, you'll probably know this just as much as I do. A lot of it, unfortunately, comes down from leadership. So you are going to have leaders in businesses that are sitting there with a list of KPIs, and it's right today. You need to make 100 calls. I want you to send 100 LinkedIn messages. So that type of mentality very much leads to, here's your cold call scripts. Here's your LinkedIn message templates. Off you go. And they are literally just dial, copy, paste, spamming this out so they can hit a KPI metrics. And that's tends to be what is weighted as the goal. I need to hit a KPI, not I need to have 10 conversations with people on the phone. I need to have 10 conversations with people on LinkedIn, where actually, if my goal is to have a conversation, I'm probably going to have a different strategy than if I'm just trying to hit a KPI. So I think, unfortunately, it tends to start with leadership. If that mentality can change, that will trickle down to the teams.
Oh, sorry. I think I'll go back to that. I was on mute there. So what are the top two or three things that you're saying to leaders, advocating to them? You're obviously telling them don't just focus on the activity. It's got to be about quality, but like practically, how can you get them on side?
The hardest bit is obviously it's the word scale. So when you're trying to battle quality versus quantity, I can absolutely advocate for quality all the way. Where, do you know what? Take time, research each prospect, personalize the message, really cater it. Well, that takes time. So if you're running a sales team and you're now, I'm essentially saying you're going to cut down quantity by maybe 60, 70% of the amount of messages you send, although you increase conversions massively, so it balances out. It's trying to find that balance in between and sort of saying, okay, let's build a system where we have templates, but the sales team know what to customize. We really make the research piece efficient. And the beauty of it is, Alex, and you know this as much as I do, there are more and more tools coming out with AI, with all these amazing data-backed systems that are making all these parts quicker. So machines and sales engagement tools that can do that research, that can start to craft those templates, where then the salesperson just has to come in and add their own little bits to it that really speed up the process. But I think the key part, what I do when I talk to sales leaders, is show them that the results on the other side of it are going to be significantly better to what they're doing now. So you can continue on the volume, strategy with whatever small percentage of conversions you're getting, or you can start to push towards better quality and see those conversions rise. Yes, it's scary at first, but once they start to see the numbers, back it up, then it's easier. But for a lot of sales leaders, the thought of it is scary. Of course it is. They've got a proven system that at least they know gets them 2% conversion. Just throw as much stuff at the wall. Some of it's going to stick. So trying to get them away from that, it takes a process, but results speak louder than words.
Yeah, I love that, man. I totally love that. So I see a lot of people, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. They post the company case study, or my inbox in LinkedIn is jammed full of stuff that doesn't seem to resonate with me. Like, it sounds like content is a big part to this too. How do you think about that?
The content's a huge opportunity, and it's something that sales and marketing are both struggling with. And I mean, I create a lot of humor around how marketing often make mistakes with LinkedIn, and I love marketing. Some companies do LinkedIn great, and Reach Desk is one of them. You guys have really done well with creating value giving content. But what most people do is the opposite. Most people use LinkedIn no different to any other sales or marketing channel, where their goal is to sell. That's it. They just want leads and sales, and it's all numbers, numbers, numbers. So when they're marketing, it's adverts and it's promotions and it's all me, me, me. And for salespeople, they do the same. They just either re-amplify the boring corporate content, or they're just trying to pitch their product. And it's just a complete flip to that strategy that works. It's not going out there to sell, it's go out there to give. If you start giving value through your marketing, so if you start helping your target customers, you'll start attracting them to you, and you'll have, again, a better conversion. So again, instead of just promoting what's new in your company and the latest case study and testimonial you've got and how amazing your product is, go out there and help. If you sell to CEOs, help CEOs. Here are the strategies that are working for CEOs right now. Here are the top tools that the best CEOs are using. X, Y, and Z. Give value to your target customers, whether you're sales or marketing. Go out there to help, which you and I know, Alex, is the secret sauce to success in sales. Don't go out there to sell, go out there to solve, go out there to help. And it applies to content. I think the problem is people go into autopilot. And it's the same principle as if I go up to someone in the street and I say, sell me this pen. What are they going to do? They're going to sell me the pen. And it's the same way marketing and sales use LinkedIn. You say, use LinkedIn. What are they going to do? I'm going to sell the pen, essentially. And it's not what works.
Yeah, man. Okay. I'm with you on this one. It is hard, and I think you're right in, like, going back to the messaging piece, like, give people frameworks and templates they can templatize. You do have to have like a motion and like an entire team motion of like how we're all going to help together. If it's just one person, I think it's often hard. I absolutely love that, man. Okay, so look, we've discussed like the root of the problem, what you can do about it. Now, along this journey that you've been on, you've probably run into a few things that you probably didn't expect when it came to like helping people solve the social selling problem. Like, what are the things that shocked you? Like, oh my God, I had no idea that happened, or that existed, or I didn't know this is how people thought. What are the things that have shocked you when you've been trying to help people solve this?
Do you know what the biggest shock has been, and especially working with bigger companies and enterprise type companies, is the amount of red tape and politics. It's the amount of resistance and how tough it can be to get people to change. And especially with both sales and marketing teams, they're so attached to their old methods and strategies that trying to get them, it doesn't matter how obvious it might be that doing it differently is going to create significantly more opportunities. Trying to get that change approved and tested and happening can take such a long time. It's very different to startups and small companies where you can go in and they listen and they apply it straight away and you see it and it's amazing and they're so much more open to it. Bigger companies are so much more resistant and it takes so much more to get them to change. But I guess it's a nature of, being such an established organization. But that is a challenge that I definitely didn't expect to be as hard as it is.
Wow. Yeah, it makes total sense. Red tape, no one likes it, but it's very much there. So look, man, I want to talk about you a little bit more. I think some people as well, I think you call yourself the social selling king, but you are known as the social selling king. You've written 3 books. I've read all of them. They're amazing. So if anyone listening, that you have to read these books, they changed the game for me and for our company. So you're the social selling king. You have a huge following. You've got a successful business. What's the journey been like for you?
It's been a crazy journey, and it's something I don't talk about or think about often. I'm so focused on what's next that I very rarely sit and reflect or think about any success that I've achieved so far, because I'm working towards and always working towards bigger successes. But it's been a journey, mate. Like when I started this just over 6 years ago now, I had a wife. Well, she was my fiance back then, 2 young kids, much younger back then, all those responsibilities. And I was leaving a very safe, secure corporate sales leadership job that was well paid with lots of perks. So it was a really scary thing to do. And if I look back, I had no idea it would become what it is now. I think when I started this, my aspirations were relatively small, but it's just been this constant evolution of looking at opportunities and trying to capitalize on the opportunities that are out there. And I think, I'm lucky that lots of companies don't know how to use LinkedIn, because it's given so much opportunity for me to come in and kind of fill that void. And I know and appreciate that it's a wave, and before long, there'll be a period of time when LinkedIn training will be done internally for every company as a standard, like with most other things. But up until that time, I'm excited to be a part of that process. And it's been exciting to be the change that the industry needed, to be one of the voices that's helped, transform the way that companies do this. But from a journey perspective, it's been a roller coaster. I've loved every single part of it, but doing it with a family, definitely was challenging. I had a moment, Alex, last night actually, that really sort of touched me. And I was sat doing a bit of work in the evening. I sort of come home in the evening, had dinner and doing a bit of extra work. And my youngest son, Josh, comes up to me. He's 12 years old. And he came up and said, "Daddy, can I come and do some work for you? I want to do some work for you. I want to come and work with you." And I'd never done it before, never shown, much interest, as your kids tend not to do. But it was just a really touching moment where I was like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to design some things for you. Got some ideas." And he gets some, paper and starts writing ideas down. And it was like, there was never an idea to build this into a business that my kids might work for. I would never push them into any type of career or anything like that. But the fact that it was an interest for him was, it was nice. And it was one of those moments where it was like, 6 years ago, I never thought I would have my own business and get to do all the great stuff that I get to do and help all the people I get to help. And then the fact that my son sees it in some valuable way is the cherry on top.
Oh, mate, what a wonderful moment. I mean, my son's 4. He hasn't said that to me yet, so maybe that's what I'm waiting for one day. What a wonderful moment, man. But you said that you've enjoyed every moment. There are always hard, really hard moments. Some people call them dark moments. What was the hardest part for you, and how have you got through those tough moments?
I'll give you 2, mate. One will be one everyone and yourself will relate to. But the first one was my first year of doing this, and it was working with customers that take the mick in the nicest way. So, I had one customer that didn't pay for 12 months past the invoice due date, which when you're a startup, when you're, in that first year, at the time, it was one of my first customers. It was pretty crucial income. Luckily, I found income elsewhere and grew elsewhere. So but it could have equally have been devastating to the business. And it's crazy that some companies are quite bad with that type of approach, paying invoices and things like that. So that first year was always going to be scarier. I knew it would be, and it, motivating at the same time. But there were a few customers that, were perhaps not as supportive as they should have been. And people that do take the mick and take advantage. That was hard. But what was probably harder, and I think you'll relate to this entirely as most of the listeners will, was COVID. When COVID hit, that was like a meteorite hitting the business world. And I was at the time, and you'll remember this because we were kind of doing the same thing. And actually, I think one of the last times we'd seen pre-COVID was at an event, maybe a couple of weeks before it kind of really went crazy. But we were at events, speaking at events, and I was doing in-person training. I was out and about constantly. So when COVID hit, bang, that was, 75% of business just gone with no sight of it coming back. And again, I was lucky enough to be quite quick to adapt and move to virtual very quickly and build a virtual delivery system and everything I needed. And so luckily it was probably a couple of weeks of really scary thoughts, but then it was right. Let's deal with this. Let's approach this. But it was very, very scary.
Oh man. Yeah. Let's not relive the COVID days too much, but that's tough. But like, what was driving you to keep going though? Like you've said like you adapted quickly. What was that thing that's like, got to keep going? Like what's pushing you?
Do you know what? I've always had it, mate. And like for salespeople, I think it's such a big skill to have. You have to adapt and overcome. You have to be the Bear Grylls. You have to be resilient and persistent. So it's not something that's like exclusive to running a business. It's something I've had, when I go into a customer and they're throwing objections and I have to adapt to that. Or when I go into a customer and they've got a problem or an issue, I have to adapt to that. So it's a skill that I think I've built up through my career that luckily became very useful when you're running a business and you're facing those tough times. So I think that resilience is key, and the ability to very quickly adapt. And we could go right back to what we talked about at the start of this, which is like the algorithm and content and LinkedIn. You're constantly having to adapt. LinkedIn is bringing in new features. It's changing. It's adapting, evolving. So again, as a user, I see lots of LinkedIn users, even influencers, that when LinkedIn makes a change, they don't adapt and they lose all the influence they had and they struggle. And you have to keep on your toes. I mean, I say this in the most respectful way, but it's a game. Life is a game, business is a game, and LinkedIn is a game. And you've just got to be good at playing it. Like, you just got to be constantly moving. The moment you take your foot off the gas, that's the scariest thing you could do. And I never want to be in that position. I literally gave this piece of advice to my eldest son, who's gearing up for final college exams and going off into university, or hoping to go to university at the end of this year. He's in a great place. And I said, you've got a period of months now to, until your final exams. Do not take your foot off the gas. Now's the time to go, full steam ahead, keep that momentum going, because there'll be a lot of people that do start to ease off. And so, yeah, keep your foot on that gas, Alex. Keep going.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I say this to our team a lot. It's like a computer game, but it also depends on what level you want to play in. You can play easy mode. I was like playing hard mode. And like, why would I want to do that? Because if you're always playing in hard mode, you're always getting better and you're trying to get to the next level. When you hit the boss level, you know how to complete it. So love the analogy, man. All right, well, let's go to the quick fire then. I always ask the same 3 questions. The first one then is, if you have a drink with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I want to give 3 because they're all really, really different, but they're all people I really respect. So if I look at more of an entertainment perspective, Daniel Craig, I'm a huge James Bond fan, and his James Bond films were kind of like my sort of real journey with James Bond. So I just think he's the coolest person ever. So I would love to sit and pick his brains. That would be cool. But the other 2 I have, and this has nothing to do with my surname, but I have an absolute fascination with the Disney company. And so I would really love to meet Bob Iger, who's the current CEO, although he'd stepped down, he's kind of come back in. I think he's one of the most incredible leaders on the planet. And equally, I would love to meet the late Steve Jobs, who, again, phenomenal entrepreneur and leader, but equally had a very strong relationship with Disney and Bob Iger and Pixar, and it just fascinating stories that I would just love to. I would love to listen and just study them as people. Like, we all see the snippets, we read the books, we see the interviews, but I would like to just read them as people and try and get a better understanding of what was really going on in their heads and in their minds, and the sort of choices they made. So yeah, there's my random 3 people. That'd be an interesting dinner if they were all together as well.
Yeah, I think it would. Put all 3 in the room. That would be pretty fascinating. Can I come as well?
Yes, definitely.
Right, sweet, let's do it.
We'll film it.
All right, so what do you think the dumbest thing salespeople are doing right now, and what would you tell them to do differently?
Dumbest thing that salespeople are doing is it's the spammy stuff. It's the trying to throw as much stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. Like, it's such a stupid strategy when you think about it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you would not go into a room full of people and just pitch everyone the same pitch, the same conversation. It's not how it works. Like, just go out and talk to people, have conversations, trying to help, trying to listen, to understand, to build relationships, to build rapport. Just go and talk to people. So yeah, spammy, non-personalized stuff. Silly.
Go
just
talk
silly.
to people.
Yeah.
Love it. And then final one on the quick fire is there a company that you're watching now that you think could be a future game changer?
Oh, I'll give you 2, and you didn't ask me to say this, but Reach Desk is definitely one I've admired.
Oh, mate, you don't have to say that.
No, I know, but I want to, because I almost feel like it's a rare thing. There aren't many, I think, like, people that gift, naturally, but I've always been a gifter for prospects, for customers, and I've seen the immense value it has. So honestly, I remember when you first showed me the platform and I was like, Christ, there's a platform that can help me do this. Like, hands down, game changer. And what I love is, and I know you're pushing through that barrier, more and more salespeople and companies seeing the value in it. And it's a competitive world, so you need to stand out, and doing things like good, intelligent, personalized gifting is phenomenal. So I respect and admire your company, and I can't wait to see when it's like a go-to that every company has, because it's just part of the sales process. The other company that I'm working with at the minute in doing some testing is a company called Twain, and they're building sort of an AI email engine where what's phenomenal is you basically tell it, this is who I am, this is what I sell, this is who I'm selling to, this is some case studies, blah, 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 blah. And then the tone you want, who you're going to be sending it to. And it creates some of the most incredible templates that I've ever seen for emails, for LinkedIn messages, that honestly, that there are videos. A video went out today. Like, it blows my mind every time it does it. And as someone who has probably one of the highest standards of emails and LinkedIn messages, it's impressive. And then what I was talking to you earlier about, these tools that can make this process easier and better for salespeople, it's, I look at it like Tony Stark and Iron Man. We're getting to a point where salespeople are literally going to have Iron Man suit full of this amazing technology that's going to make them super sellers. And so whether it's platforms like Reach Desk, Twain, all these amazing tools, Sales Navigator, when you've got all these things working for you, you know how to use them, and you're using them the right way, you are a super seller.
Love it. Very cool. I've never heard of this, because I'm going to check them out. Well, look, mate, we're nearly at the end. Final thoughts then. Before you go, if you could, in one sentence, ideally, share some advice with go-to-market salespeople, whoever you think is right, on what they could be doing differently right now to break through the noise.
Easiest, simplest thing you can do is start building your personal brand. Each person who's listening to this, each person in your business, from the CEO to any leader, to any rep, any executive, start building your personal brand. Start sharing content on LinkedIn that shares your professional journey as well as your personal journey, and let people get to know you. We are humans. Human to human selling, human to human marketing is where it's going to be and where it's going to grow into. So just start letting people get to see you, know you, and follow that journey, because honestly, it's a game changer for sales, marketing, and go to market.
Love it. Okay, that's such good advice. So look, for those listening and watching, how can they find you? How can they follow you?
LinkedIn obviously is the place to go. Search for Daniel Disney, look for the guy with the red t-shirt, and there I'll be. There are some other Daniel Disneys, would you believe it?
But you're the one with the red t-shirt, so look for that guy, social selling king. I've been following you for many years, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for the guidance and advice you've given me, both publicly and in person. Daniel, mate, thank you so much for being a guest today. This has been an absolute riot in many ways, but mate, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your advice. I've loved every second of this.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone who's listening.